No, I don't make it 16.
Okay, the Mishnah says the following.
Yeah,
Rabbi
16, bottom of 560.
560, Mishnah 16. In the Art Scroll, in other places, it's Mishnah 12. Rabbi Yishmael Oimer. Rabbi Yishmael taught, have a kal roish. Be easygoing. Be compliant with those that are in states of leadership. Those that are a rosh. A rosh means a leader, or a person that is in some form of governance, some aspect of power. So we'll have to understand that. But what the general feeling is when you feel someone is in power, you don't really want to listen to them. You want to go against them. Yeah, people hate people over them. People hate people in power. Generally, you generally despise it, and there's a general way of engaging with power to be subversive to the instruction. But it's saying here that a person needs to be submissive, subservient, suppliant to an individual who's superior than them in power. We'll have to understand what that means and what that's actually teaching us. V'noyach lesishchoires. And you have to also be pleasant. Now, there's a number of interpretations here what a sishchoires is. Some individuals suggest that a sishchoires is, some interpretations that sishchoires is a person who is a servant of that master, or a servant of that individual in power. Some other interpretations bring that a sishchoires is just a person that is a servant of yours, a person who is below you. So every individual, really in their relationships, and this is what we're learning here, has three platforms of engaging with people. The first platform of engagement is that you have someone who is superior to you, someone who is above you, someone who has a sense of power or a sense of reign above you. Then you have another relationship, and that is people that are below you. And, a lot of circumstances, a lot of relationships can fall into that, such as one's children. Or many for many that's the opposite way around. They're submissive or subservient to their children. But we have the circumstances where we have people that are below us, that somewhat in lower echelons, that have some form of a submissive nature to us in terms of work, in terms of labor, in terms of whatever it is. And then we have the third teaching here, the Heve Mekabeles Kol Adam Simcha. It says you have to receive everyone with a state of joy, with a state of happiness, with a state of jubilance. Okay? So now we have to understand here, what did you use there? The Art Scroll uses the word young. That's from Philip. All right, thank you. Yeah, that's interesting that those that are young are somewhat underneath us. Now, if you consider all of these circumstances, and you think about the general way of how people engage in their relationships. So, if you think about it, what happens? So again, those that are superior to you, be it your boss, if you have a boss, be it any forms of judgment or discipline, or any individuals that exact that in your life, such as we're going to see, the police system or whatever it may be. A person is somewhat tendent to be, somewhat undermining of those individuals that are in a state of power. And then you have an individual who is a tashchoires, someone that's below you, irrelevant, not important, someone that you don't want to really consider, someone that you don't really want to even give the light of day to. They're irrelevant and unimportant. Okay, so we see here that a person needs to be noyach lesishchoiris. We're going to see that in both of those relationships, a person has to learn to be submissive and easygoing. Where there are people in power, you have to listen to them, even though your tendency or our tendency is to go against them. We have to listen. If it's a child to their parent, if it's a student to their teacher, if it's any form of governance that may take place, we have to be and learn to be easygoing when it comes to that and not make issues if those individuals that are in power are asking from us to do something. We have to understand what the work is here. How is that changing our character traits? The noyach lesishchoires is saying that when you're engaging with those that are underneath you, do not undermine them. Do not give them a feeling that they're not important. One of the most difficult, excellent question there, Philip. What about those non-worthy of superiority? Excellent, excellent question. I'm going to answer that in a moment. So those that are noyach lesishchoires, so he says, you have circumstances that people are underneath you and you feel that they're unimportant. No, they're not so important. But it's saying here, no, everyone deserves to feel important. Everyone deserves to be treated with a state of respect. And yesterday, when we spoke about respecting every element of life, even the physical things that exist in life are subsumed or are infused with godliness and spirituality, same too, there needs to be respect to all individuals, no matter what position they are in, no matter what circumstance they are in, no matter what race, color, gender, whatever circumstance a person finds himself in, a person always needs to engage with others in a framework of positivity and a framework of respect. Yeah, be it the street cleaner, be it the person that serves you in wherever place you are, we have to learn to be respectful and easygoing and nice to those individuals. Then they're having the Kabbalas Adam B'Simcha. We'll deal with that in a moment, but I want to deal with Philip's question. And the Maharal actually deals with your question, Philip. He actually comes along to interpret what does sishchoires mean. So he says that both of these initial two teachings are dealing with people that are in power. It's saying there are some people in power that deserve to be in power, that they should be in power. And to those individuals, you have to be submissive and subservient and whatever they want you to do, then those individuals need to be listened to and need to be engaged with as much as you can. You have to be subservient. And it says you have to try and build a relationship with those individuals as much as possible. If they are deserving of power, then build a relationship with them. Do what you can to please them. Do what you can to try and acquiesce to their needs and what they ask of you. Then there are individuals who don't deserve superiority, who don't deserve to be in power. So how do you engage with those individuals? How do you engage with that type of individual who's not deserving of that power? So what he says here is noyach lesishchoires. So it actually says here in the translation that I've sent you from Sefaria, it says submissive under compulsory service, which means there are individuals who are not worthy of your respect, who are not worthy of superiority, but still it says you have to be pleasant to those individuals. Okay, you want me to do it? I'll do it. I'll be submissive. It doesn't mean that you create a sense of I'm here for every beck and call. I'm here to sort of serve you. I'm here to listen to every type of thing that you ask me to do and try and build a relationship through that and really allow oneself to be humbled through the experience of attaching to that individual that's in a place of superiority, because we understand those people in positions of power essentially have been placed there by Kadosh Baruch Hu. But then there is another element where those that are in positions of power have found their ways into power again, because Hashem has placed them there. We know that the hearts of those who are in power are really in the hands of God, but they're not deserving of it. For some reason, they're there. And it could be that the understanding that they're there is because it is to teach us a state of humility. That even though we deem those individuals not to be in a state of power or rulership or in any form of governance, nevertheless, we need to learn to acquiesce and somewhat be of a subservient or submissive nature under them. We have to still, nevertheless, bite our tongues, or whatever the terminology is, and have some sense of submissiveness to that individual. It doesn't mean that you have to completely agree with everything. It doesn't mean that you have to completely bow down to their feet every moment. But it means that you have to try and engender a state of submissiveness, of some sense of, I understand you're in power, and I'm going to do my best to try and help you feel a state of power that you are in. Yeah, any questions around that? Okay, so the
Rabbi?
Yes, Philip.
There's a very strong concept that's not familiar to us in Judaism about being submissive to other people. There are other religions that practice submissiveness.
Yes, I guess we are generally taught to have something called chutzpah, and chutzpah is the general Jewish trait, especially in the generation that we live in. There's a great reality of being chutzpahdik, and we hate submissiveness. I mean, if you look at the schools, especially growing up in Australia, the general culture is a real state of chutzpah. Who are you to tell me what to do? Oh, you're just the principal, or you're just the teacher, or you're just the rabbi, or you're just an individual that has worked to get to and dedicated their lives to whatever it is. But who are you? This is what the child's saying. That's completely entitled. So you're right in the state that there is an element of chutzpah, which is very important. And that is, we understand that there are things that need to be done in this world. We understand that a person has to have chutzpah, to even come onto a platform like this. You need chutzpah, really, because, well, I feel a little bit self-conscious. My face is going to be on the computer. It's being recorded. I feel a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe I have to ask questions. You have to have a little bit of chutzpah to be on such a platform. But a person says, I need to learn Torah. I need to engage with a spiritual framework. I'm going to push through. Or I need to have a relationship with a teacher. I'm going to push through. You need chutzpah for that. Or I need to make certain business decisions or persevere in my relationships. You need chutzpah for that. But it never undermines a state of humility and respecting other people. And we're learning here that when it comes to people in places or positions of authority, or even those who are older than us, we can have circumstances, those that are elders, or those who have some form of life experience. It could be that those individuals aren't worthy of any specific respect. Could be that they're individuals that are somewhat really debased. But we learn here, and I don't think we know anyone in that circumstance. But we still see here that there is an element of being submissive. There is an element of respecting a person who is in a position of power or prominence or governance, and the person has to fall into that framework of submissiveness. Then we saw there's another level, and that is a person that you deem as being worthy of that power, And that individual really needs to be tended to as much as possible in any circumstance that a person can listen to them and be at their beck and call. A person really should try and do that. I think I'm falling into a bit of instability here. Are you hearing me? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, can hear you, Rabbi.
Okay, good. Okay, so then the last one is V'havei mekabel es kol ha'adam b'simcha. You have to receive everyone with joy, with happiness, with exuberance, with a state of happiness, real happiness. And the Rambam explains this to mean you have to almost feel a state of joy inside of yourself when you see someone else. And you have to give that person a feeling as if you're really happy, as if you are, and you should be happy when you see another person. Philip, I remember you gave me the example of your friend on the radio that said that anytime you answer the phone, you always have, you can tell this, Philip. What was the teaching there?
Okay, so what Rabbi is referring to is a close friend of mine who's a radio talk show host in Johannesburg. And we were sitting once together and my phone rang. It was my wife. So I answered how I normally do, and he reprimanded me. And he said, no, put the phone down and make a phone again. And I want you to be happy when you answer, not just hello. You've got to make it like someone's phone to tell you've just won the lottery. That comes from the most successful radio talk show host in the country.
Yes.
So he said, you've got to answer. I'd say, hello, Rabbi. Hello, Rabbi. Great to hear your voice.
Yes.
That's what he does professionally.
And this is from the Mishnah. So you can share this Mishnah with him on the radio and see that there's a responsibility to receive every individual happily. As if you need to add, the Rambam says you actually need to actually feel a state of joy. Wow, I can connect to another human being that has the essence of God inside of them. Wow, I'm so happy to be able to connect with you. Not like, leave me alone, I don't really want to speak to you. Oh, I'm so enlivened by this opportunity. Yeah. So that is the teaching here. I'm going to share with you just a few aspects of the Rabbeinu Yonah, and then we'll conclude for this morning. What time? We've got 5 minutes left. Okay. So let's see what the Rabbeinu Yonah says. The Rabbeinu Yonah says, we've got the source here that I sent out, 312, Ethics of the Fahers, not fathers, Fahers. Okay, it says the following. Yikle atzmai means that you make yourself easy. The general way that we have is very harsh, no, I'm not compliant. That's how we want to be. But it says, make yourself easy. Make yourself compliant. To a person that is a rosh, v'adon, that a person who's in position of power, don't go against them. Make yourself easygoing. K'may shene'emar, al tishader lifnei melech, u'v'maken gedolim al ta'amid. Don't give yourself praise in the presence of a king, meaning don't exalt yourself in front of those that are in positions of power, and don't stand in the place of the greats. Don't stand in the place of those who are in positions of power. Rather, shelo yachshav oischa le'adam gadol v'hakel atzmacha lefanav rather, don't make yourself into this important thing that, who are you to tell me what to do? Who are you to tell me or to be in any form of position of power? No. Make yourself easy. Make yourself as if whatever they want, you will do. Whatever you can help them with, you will do. And on the other hand, he says, don't become too familiar with the individual, which means see yourself somewhat subservient to them. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have a close relationship. It means don't see yourself on the same level. Okay? Now, who is this for? Who is this for? So to a certain extent, it's for both. It's for the individual who's in the position of power, because essentially people who are in positions of power have certain expectations. And anytime those expectations aren't met, they're essentially experiencing a form of death. So the same sensitivity that we spoke about this morning, about not causing harm to anyone, even by causing some form of damage or harm in terms of their emotion or intellect or spiritual harm, even by making a loud noise to a person. Here we're seeing that there's another harm that a person can cause a person who's in a position of prominence. You can cause a person harm in that state, that they feel, oh, I'm not being honored to that extent. That's just a simple sensitivity that we need to have to other people, okay? And then it's also for us, that the place inside of us that wants to say, no, I'm going to be resolute about not succumbing or being submissive to anyone. I am the head honcho here, is hurting ourselves. It's hurting ourselves to be so resolute and so stiff-necked, to say that no one can tell me what to do. I am the one that calls the shots. Everyone else should be submissive to me. Essentially, we are actually undermining ourselves, because we're saying that we get all of our sense of wealth and all of our sense of well-being and all of our sense of self-esteem from controlling other people. But when we're able to be submissive and subservient, it actually creates a deeper awareness of who we are as people. It actually creates a deeper sensitivity to say, I am not the one that has to be in control of other people. And then when it comes to those two next levels of saying, be easygoing and nice and considerate and pleasant to those that are even serving you, is saying that as well. Have a respect and consideration to everyone. Everyone deserves respect. And then when it comes to your general engagement with people that you feel are on your level, such as your friends, such as your family, maybe if it's not your parents or those who are older than you, but just the general framework, such as your siblings or whatever it may be overjoyed anytime you engage with them. Make them feel as if you are very happy to see them, and share that happiness with another individual and bring that happiness to them. I just want to share with you the words of the Maharal. The Maharal asks, he says, how does receive every person cheerfully differ from Shammai's advice to receive everyone with a cheerful face? So we saw earlier, there was a teaching that Havi mekabel es kol adam b'seva ponim yafos, which means that your face should be exuberant when you see another individual. How is this a different teaching when it says receive every person b'simcha, with joy? So he says, Shammai's point is that if one does not greet another with a cheerful expression, he will feel unappreciated, and that will hurt his feelings. But receive every person cheerfully is more positive and substantial advice, intending to honor people. Okay, so there are two levels here. The first level that was taught by Shammai is greeting everyone with a face of countenance, is that you don't hurt other people. By, if a person is met with hi, or they're not even met with any hello, and it's just a state of negativity, you're hurting someone else by doing that. And that's a really dangerous thing, that we've learned that you can actually cause a destruction of the world through that form of activity or inactivity. But the next level is to actually greet everyone with an exuberance, with a state of joy, with a state of happiness. And that's the next level. That's a state of honoring a person, a state of connecting to a person, a state of saying, you are amazing and I love you and I'm so happy to see you and I'm so happy to be able to be given the opportunity to engage with you. Wow, what an opportunity. So these are the different levels of engagement. And we see here that if we would summarize this Mishnah, it's about being subservient. It's about letting go our guard and our ego. But essentially then, once we do that, we discover the inner self which is really able to connect to other people, really be able to democratize the experience of seeing everyone really on the same level, everyone as a beautiful soul, and everyone as really an opportunity to engage with godliness itself. And that, I think that's the teaching of this Mishnah. So